So breaking news. We actually got our first copyright claim on
Was it from
episode
JV?
3.
Was it from
No.
JV Planets? What is it?
It was from Tamika Mallory.
Oh, wow.
That clip got flagged.
8.
No, that's not good. Very close. I'm
That's
celebrating.
bad.
I know.
It's
I know. I
bad.
said I knew it.
Oh, yeah. So the only
Happened.
outcome is that video can never be monetized. Not that it was going to be anyway.
Yeah.
There was an option for me to take it down completely. Decided against that. But the fact that we are getting copyright claims is not good.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. So let's figure that out because I don't want to get canceled right away.
Like I said, y'all need to learn how to do a credits with a citation page. Did you not know how to cite your Did y'all not go to Rich South High School? Come on now.
Yeah, we didn't learn anything. We just played sports.
Oh, that's right. Y'all weren't in the honors courses? Okay.
Yeah.
No, not at all. What's good, everybody? Welcome to episode 6 of Hi Chicago. If you've been with us since show 1, thank you for rocking with us from jump. We really appreciate you guys. We love all the support. Thank you for subscribing to the show, giving us feedback, comments. Really appreciate you guys. Keep that up. Thank you. If this is your first time rocking with us, what's up? The show is basically about 4 friends, normally 4 friends, right, from the Chicagoland area. And we're just talking about what's on our mind, right? Current events, what's going on in our world, the sports world, political topics, just whatever's happening currently. That's what we try to hit our show on every time, right? So I'm Sean, right? I'm the one who tries to keep these fools in line. My boy, Aaron. Aaron's normally fresh out of Illinois, right? But right now, I understand you're in Ohio, bro. What's going on in
Cincinnati.
Ohio, bro?
Got this work trip. They bamboozled me into taking on this extra duty to work 12 hours overnight. But today I'm
12
off.
hours overnight?
Yeah, overnight.
Oh my God.
So
I'm
here now.
Is there anything good going on in Cincinnati? Can you go anywhere? Is it open? Is it locked down?
They are somewhat open. The hotel I'm at, all the stuff is closed. They just opened the pool up today, but it wasn't open the past week. And the fitness center's closed. The restaurant's closed. I think some of Cincinnati's bars are open, and the stores you can go in, every single store. So, and they don't require a mask, which I think is foolish.
So you have your mask on when you go in, is what you're saying?
I do. I definitely do.
Okay. So shout out to you on that trip out in Cincinnati. I've been to Cincinnati twice in my life. It's okay. I don't know if I'd go out of my way to go there again. Rest in peace to the homie Harambe. That's all I really got as far as like Cincinnati goes, right? Next we got the homie MC, fresh out of H-Town down in Houston. What's good? How you feeling? I know a few days ago you were on your deathbed. How you doing now?
I'm back and I'm running now. You know, I got my little glass of wine. My doctor told me I need to live my life a little more, have a few more drinks. So I took her advice. I'm feeling better.
Wait.
Did she know that you were borderline alcoholic?
You said your doctor told you to drink more liquor? What the hell doctor are you going to?
Because the last week and a half, I actually cut back on my drinking and my stress level went up. So my blood pressure shot up so high that it was dangerous zone, like about to have a stroke. So she was like, you need to make sure you take care of yourself and relax. She's like, obviously you work a very stressful job. So you need to have wine everywhere. I was like, say less. I got you. You ain't got to tell me twice. But I mean, you'll be happy to know that in Houston, they're actually getting stricter, and now every single business requires a mask in order to serve you. So
breaking news, because they should have did that from jump.
Yeah, they were slacking.
So Mary Claire, when you FaceTimed me like 10 minutes ago, you had a full bottle of wine. Do you have that bottle of wine, Nick, with you right now? Like, where are we at right now with that bottle? In 10 minutes, she drank half a bottle. Half a bottle.
I'm about to refill this glass, so you better chill out.
Live your best life. I'm not gonna judge you. I said the show is about 4 friends, right? We're missing our 4th boy, JV. JV normally comes out of Iowa, but he had to travel to West Memphis to take care of some personal stuff. So JV, the show must go on. We're gonna hold you down, bro. We'll see you next week. Take care of your business. We got you. Also, happy Father's Day, JV, and to all the fathers listening right now. I hope you guys enjoyed your day. For me, as a dog father, I think that we should get recognition on this holiday too, but
Nah,
different conversation for a
no,
different day.
You should.
I
absolutely
firmly
not.
believe that.
That's why I wished you a happy Father's Day, Sean.
Thank you for that. You were one of 4 people that did that. I appreciate that. Dog fathers, dog mothers, they go through some tough times too, and we deserve some recognition, bro. You know?
You say
She knew you
so.
were talking about us.
but
Yeah.
but
Look.
on that note, let's kind of dive into the show, right?
Mhm.
I know you guys expect us to talk about one thing, but because of everything that I've been seeing on the news, specifically in Chicago, I kind of want to touch on something else. And I'll tell you why. So I've been watching the news, obviously, because there's a lot going on in the world. Duh. We all know this. But what's going on in Chicago specifically, it's always somebody shot somebody, right? X amount of murders, X amount of shootings every day. And it's frustrating and it's hard to watch because that's what Chicago's, unfortunately, one of the things they're known for, right?
On blast.
So one thing that got me thinking was just, number one, what makes someone want to murder somebody in general, right? What gets you down that road? And there's one particular story that stood out to me that I want to talk to you guys about, and then we're going to kind of dive into that, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to present you guys the facts of what happened, and then we'll kind of dive in from there. Cool?
Got it.
Okay.
Miracle, you good with that, you said?
I'm good. Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so I'm going to read it so that way I don't miss any key fact. So the story is about 18-year-old Orlando Perez and 37-year-old Selena Reyes Hernandez. They arrived at her apartment on 5:30 a.m. on May 31st in Chicago. So far, there's no indication of any long-term history between the two. Orlando is a high school senior student with no prior history of violence and on track to graduate. Shortly after arriving at Selena's apartment, Orlando questioned if she was a girl. Selena expressed she's transgender. After hearing such news, Orlando left, upset. He came back shortly after and wound up shooting her multiple times, which led to her death. He then flees the scene again, only to come back for a third time to shoot her already lifeless body because he said, and I quote, was mad as hell and couldn't stop seeing her face. And now Orlando is being charged with first-degree murder. Okay.
As he should.
So let's talk initial thoughts on what happened in general. Aaron, I want to hear from you first.
That is a wild story. It's the first time I'm ever hearing about this. I don't understand what drives somebody in that way to go and murder somebody because they were mad as hell, quote unquote.
Right.
I feel like there are better ways to take your anger out than killing someone. Now, I can tell just from the context of the story that this wasn't because he was just mad at life. He was obviously mad because he had agreed to a rendezvous with someone who was transgender. Maybe that's something that should have been disclosed beforehand, for
Okay.
sure. But at the same time, it is no reason to murder.
So these are facts, right? And there's a lot going on in the LGBT community as far as murders go anyway, as far as trans being murdered specifically, and that's horrific. And I don't agree with what he did in any way, shape, or form at all, right? And the reason why we're talking about this story specifically is it occurred in Chicago, right? So, Mayor Claire, what do you think about what Aaron had to say about that and the story in general?
I mean, I agree. There's absolutely no justification for the murder of the young lady, Selena. I mean, I know lots of trans people in the LGBTQ community, and you're still human at the end of the day. We all go through different shit, but, you know, I think this guy was quote unquote mad as hell because he probably has negative views about individuals in this type of community. And he couldn't accept the idea that he actually was connecting with this person on a human level, and he got upset with himself, you know. But that's no justification to kill a human being, you know. It's just disgusting. So I mean, that's really all I have to say about it. As far as the drive to what drives people to kill, I mean, I'm no psychopath. Don't ask my boyfriend that, but I'm not a psychopath. But I mean, maybe this dude was just like messed up in the head or something, because to go to those lengths, one, to kill the person, but then two, to go back and do more damage even though it's already been done, it's like, okay, now you're super messed up, you know. So
Yes, but here's the thing, though, right? Just slow down and just think about it for a second, right? Again, the murder was wrong. I just want to make sure that I am clear that I in no way, shape, or form condone what he did. That was wrong. He tweaked. It was horrible. Condolences go out to her family, right? His family, his friends, her friends, right? Because both lives are messed up in two completely different ways now, and it's unfortunate. But in my mind, I presume something sexual had to have happened, right? For him to become that enraged. Again, that's just my presumption, but that's the only thing in my mind that makes the most sense. So what I want to ask you, Aaron, is think about it, bro. Think about 18-year-old you, okay? This dude is a high school senior getting ready to graduate. So at 18 years old, right, what's going through your mind when it comes to the opposite sex?
I mean, other than being attracted to them, I'm not thinking about whether or not they were born a man. And if I did find that out, I just probably keep it moving, if I'm honest. And that's preference. That's basic
At 18,
preference.
though, see, this is why I don't agree with that, right? Because at 18, bro, what's important is how people view us. Of course.
Okay. So I'm a woman. So women, we are beautiful creatures. We tend to mature faster than men. And a very important part to decision making is your prefrontal cortex. And you'll learn this, in any basic
psychology degree. Go
class.
ahead.
But unfortunately for men, it doesn't tend to develop as fast as those in women. So I think about the average age for the prefrontal cortex to develop in men is around anywhere from 22 to 25 years old. So
everything I read said 25. Go ahead.
He was 25?
No. Everything I read as far as the men's brains fully developing, the age was 25. He was 18.
Everyone is a little different. They go through different things. They mature faster, whatever. So if this guy was 18, technically, developmental-wise, his brain was not fully developed. So therefore, he was acting on impulse. Does that make it right? No. But it still does happen. And he still could make decisions. But I will say that, when it comes to anger problems, if you have problems in general with your anger and your decision making, then you should know not to put yourself in certain situations if you're going to react on impulse, especially if that impulse is killing somebody. So I don't know.
But you don't know that, though, Mary Claire. Right. That's the problem, right? So he was put in a situation, right? Again, my presumption is something sexual happened, and then it was disclosed after that she's transgender, right? So for him to be able to think and formulate an opinion reasonably and rationally at 18, I don't know if that makes sense. So I don't agree with what he did at all. But I could understand why the reaction was what it was. I understand it. Mary Claire, do you understand it? Again, I don't agree, but based on the facts that I have, he freaked out.
I don't know, but when you think about why people kill, you go back to, okay, why would you kill somebody, Sean? Your life is in danger? Yeah, that's a reason to kill. Self-defense? Right. Yeah, that's a reason to kill. This guy had nothing going for him. It was purely anger and disagreement. That's not a reason to kill. That's not rational thinking. That is purely I don't know the proper word for it, but that's like you saying you got mad because Morgan bought cheddar ruffles and not plain ruffles. So
that's not the same thing. Do not compare. No, do not compare the two. That's not the same.
But what I'm saying is, when you think of rational thinking, in my opinion, I would not view his situation as exceptional to that idea, because when it comes to your rational decision making, I just feel like death is extreme. Like pulling out a gun and shooting somebody because you took something the wrong way. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a professional. But I feel like there's a fine line between, okay, was the prefrontal cortex involved, or was this guy just truly psycho?
Aaron, you don't believe that she took his right to choose away?
Here's what I'm thinking, Sean. The only way that he could have gotten that mad in order to kill that person is not because something sexual happened. Maybe he felt, and I know how we used to think in high school, and I think way of thinking is not right.
Be mindful of that also.
Right? That thinking is not right, but we were sort of the the generation that would call women who had transitioned from men, we would have called them shims or something offensive in some way. And we would
were
look
ignorant.
at them as
We were ignorant, bro.
right.
Yes.
So I'm thinking that possibly that was his same way of thinking, and maybe he was down with that. But his friends or whatever his circle was, maybe they weren't down with it, and he would have felt some sort of way. So in order to keep that story from coming out, that they did have sex, if they did in fact have sex, I'm not going to presume that they did, but if they did have sex,
Okay.
he shot her to keep that story from getting to his friends, getting to other people. Now, why he came back, that's the part that I'm really trying to reconcile. Why would you come back to the crime scene to shoot again?
I agree with that. Mary Claire, what are you about to say?
Okay, so take sex out of the equation because you don't even know if sex was involved. So
Facts. I presumed. I said
I
that.
feel
Go
like
ahead.
because you're a man, you're putting a situation intact because that helps you make the decision easier. Because
No. Killing is not an easy decision.
no, but I'm
It's not a decision
saying
I'd ever
because
make.
you're a man, you're taking it more personal if a sexual encounter did happen. Because take sex out of the equation. Let's say they literally just were going to go back to the house, and let's say Selena was just like, I have no intentions of having sex with this man, but I'm still going to tell him that I'm trans, and then he still kills her purely because he doesn't like that. That doesn't make it any right.
No, it doesn't make it right. No, not under any circumstance does it make it right. But I think that was his rationalization in his mind for going to that route.
Yeah, probably.
And let's just be clear, right? So, Aaron, you mentioned our thought process back then, right? So, in high school, man, I was ignorant, I was uneducated, I was unwilling to learn about, the gay community, lesbian community, the transgender community. Like, I didn't care. I was so closed-minded when I was 18. I'm 30 now. My mind has progressed exponentially since then, and you love who you love, you are who you are. But something that I read was that. But something that I read was just, man, at let's just say she's not even transgender. Okay, she's a woman. That's it, Selena.
Woman who was born a woman.
Correct.
Cisgender
exactly, right?
woman.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that specific. So in my mind, right, a 37-year-old woman has no business with an 18-year-old regardless. Like, she would mess him up mentally regardless, with that big of an age gap and the maturity level of one versus the other. So now to find out this information with that same age gap, to me, that's she broke him.
Age ain't nothing but a number.
Yeah.
Nah.
What she said.
the fact that 18-year-olds are considered adults blows my mind. But you can't mean to tell me that he wasn't mentally screwed up, maybe prior, but definitely post finding that information. People are saying he should be locked up and thrown under the jail.
Going into the information that point that you made, I mean, if we can make the clear definition that men's prefrontal cortex doesn't necessarily mature until potentially the age of 25, why do we still consider becoming adult 18? That's not really fair to 18-year-olds who make mistakes, you know?
I agree. So now this kid who was a high school senior is now going to go to jail for the rest of his life because of a horrible decision that he made based on the way he processed things. And then we didn't even talk about. So
I mean,
Mary, let me ask you.
Situation though.
I agree. What I'm saying is, then let's say the same story happens, but she's not dead. Okay. Should she be held accountable for not disclosing, said something, if something had happened between them prior?
No. I would say she'd be responsible for not disclosing her age if that's the issue we're talking about. The trans part or the sexuality part, that has nothing to do with it. But if we're doing the comparison based off age, and we're saying that now 18-year-olds are not developed enough to make a proper rational decision, then yes, she is responsible. She should have disclosed her age. And
no, not disclose the age. I don't give a damn about disclosing the age. Should she have disclosed to him that she was transgender, assuming something sexual happened prior to her disclosure? Should she be held accountable for not, or anybody be held accountable for not disclosing prior? Because in my mind, you took away my right to choose if you don't tell me prior to us doing anything.
I don't.
Aaron, what you got, bro?
I don't see it as that way, man. I don't, because gender, as you know, is a spectrum. it's not something like you can catch something. Like if anybody watched our last episode, Sean went out on a fucking rant about Usher's herpes, right?
It was a lot.
It's not like it's herpes that she's giving this guy. Essentially, she just had sex with a guy as a woman, and she is not under any obligation to tell that person that she was not born a woman.
So you're telling me that you would be cool with if that happened to you specifically, you're fine with it?
Well, it wouldn't happen to me specifically because I'm married, but I get what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
if I was 18, and I probably would be livid, but that's 18-year-old me. I knew nothing, right?
Exactly.
By the time I hit, you want to know, by the time I hit 19, Sean, before I hit 19, should I say, my second semester in college at NIU, I would hang out with all the allies, the gay allies, LGBTQ plus allies.
Right.
I had gay friends, I had transgendered friends,
right?
All of that stuff. I was able to learn in a short amount of time what that sort of thing kind of was, like how those people think, how the community views people who think that they need to disclose that they were born a man. It's not, they're not under any obligation, not in my opinion, at least.
Mary Claire?
I have something to say. So I still think you're wrong. If we are talking about rational decision making, that is the problem at hand, and therefore the age does matter. If an 18-year-old and what did you say, 37 years old, right?
37.
If let's just say that the age of becoming adult moves to 25 because that's the decision that you can make a rational adult decision. Why is a 37-year-old asking an 18-year-old to do anything sexual?
But why is that more important to you to disclose?
Because the whole problem is you can't make a decision rationally if your brain is not developed, and sex is a very serious situation you have to make rationally, you know?
And he rationally made that decision.
But he can't because his prefrontal cortex is not fully developed.
But Mary Claire, you can say that about any decision any 18-year-old makes. He knew what he was doing. She consented, he consented. Again, assuming this is what happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they both consent, that's not the issue. I don't care how old you are, if it's legal age, right? The problem that I'm having trouble understanding is why that person wouldn't be held accountable for not disclosing after the fact. That's my issue. I don't care if you're transgender or not. Like, do you live your best life? Whatever makes you happy, do that. But when you involve somebody else's life, right? I don't agree with that at all. I think she should have disclosed, or anybody should have disclosed in that situation, and give me the right to choose if I want to continue this or if I don't, because of that fact.
At the same time, we're clarifying that we don't know that anything sexual even happened, correct?
Yeah. So this is just a different part of the conversation. It could be any two people in general. Exactly. So not these two specifically.
Nothing sexual happened and he still went through with this. Like, now we're just like justifying.
He does need to be thrown under the jail.
Yeah. Yeah. This is pretty bad.
So facts. So that I agree with, right?
Okay.
Now again, we're talking same story. Just the result wasn't death, right? It could be any two people you want to think of, but my mind is blown that you don't think that this person should be held accountable for not telling this person.
I want to ask the question,
facts.
Sean, are we just talking about a casual encounter, or are we talking about something that's going to grow into a relationship? Because then my answer changes if that's the case. Right?
So define casual encounter.
Casual encounter is one time, maybe two times having sex, or whatever the case may be. It's just something that only happens without some sort of relationship, casual relationship.
Okay. And you say your answer for that would be different if we decide to date.
Correct.
How the hell does that make any sense?
Because here's the thing. There are things that transgendered women can't give men. And children is the biggest thing I'm thinking of. So if you are to date someone who is transgender and they don't disclose to you at any point that they're transgender, and then you're growing into the future and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to have a baby with this person. You get to that point where you guys want to try for a baby, then they drop the bomb on you that they were born a man. Well, if you were someone who was expecting your lineage to go through this person, you're going to be kind of pissed, and I feel like that's not right. that's the whole thing. If it's going to be something that's going to be long term, I would feel like you would need to disclose it. Mary Claire?
I don't feel that disclosing is any decision that can be made by anyone in a legal position or a government position, though. I feel that if I one day decided I wanted to be a man and I was born in a woman's body and I truly feel the opposite, and then I go and I'm with a woman and she wants to make a baby, and just like Aaron said, you get to that point where you're trying to make a baby and you can't do it because biologically speaking, it can't happen the way we want it to.
Right.
I feel that I'm just an asshole if I continued that far along without telling the person. But at the end of the day, we're now talking like, is this because you love the person that you're continuing, or are you just doing it to have a relationship? And I have a lot of conflicting thoughts with that come along with that, because nothing is a simple black and white or whatever. Like, there's no yes or no. Like, you can't do that. Everything is situationally based. But to even sit here and say, like, 1 to 2 sexual encounters is considered casual, I could disagree with that very easily.
So a couple things. So one, Aaron, your point makes sense as far as like the long-term piece goes. I get that. Mary Claire, your point about the government not being able to mandate any of that stuff also makes sense too. We're speaking just hypotheticals here, right? Mm-hmm. So in my mind, if I mess with Mary Claire heavy, right, and it leads to something else, right, just give me the opportunity to make my choice, right? Because I could choose, yeah, let's go. I don't care. Whatever. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. Or I could be like, nah, I'm straight on this based on how I think, right? All I'm asking for is the right to think, the right to have a choice and make a decision based on all the facts you presented me. That's my thought process.
And I get that. But when it comes to being in a relationship with somebody, you have different points in different relationships where you disclose different information. Not everything has to be, sexually based. I mean, it could be something as simple as, Sean, diabetes runs in your family and not Morgan's, and now she's getting ready to have a kid with you, and she's like, whoa, diabetes runs in your family? No, like, I don't want any part of that. I mean, I know it's not the same as making a biological child, but what I'm saying is I just don't feel like, first instance, hi, my name is Sean. By the way, I'm also trans. I just don't feel like that has to be.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. He's saying before sex, he feels like it should be disclosed.
Even if we kiss.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I'm saying not necessarily. I just think that if you're going to pursue a relationship with a person, it should be disclosed. That's my stance on it. It should be.
Okay.
That's fair, right? So on that note, we're gonna wrap up this episode of Hi Chicago. Thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate that. Before we wrap up, we always like to do rapid fire. So Aaron, go ahead and hit us with the rapid fire. What you got, bro? Quick, 30 seconds, 45 seconds max. What you got?
During this time, guys, it's really important that you support these Black-owned businesses. And one of the ways you can support the Black-owned businesses is this app called Eat Okra. It is an app that shows all of the Black-owned restaurants in your area. It has major cities such as Brooklyn, Harlem. It's all in New York. Seattle, Philadelphia, LA, Chicago.
Anything in Chicago or Houston?
It does have Chicago, and I believe it does have Houston as well. Houston, Texas, it's right on the front page. Spell it EATOKRA. Support Black-owned businesses.
Okay, man, I'm downloading it right now as we speak. I appreciate that shout out, bro. Mary Claire, what you got?
If I'm being totally honest, I don't know what to shout out other than I'm so excited for the next episode because I'm so ready to talk about it. I'm so ready to talk about it, but you know what? Next time, I got you. That's all. Shout out to all of our viewers, anyone who's clicking that share and the subscribe. I really appreciate it. It's I'm learning slowly that it's not easy promoting. It's definitely a work in progress, but I'm really proud of this little thing we got going, and I love all and any of the support that you all are throwing out there. So please throw us some controversial stuff, some comments, something you didn't like. I'm ready to hear it because I love to pick people's brain.
That's sweet.
Exactly. We want all feedback. We want all comments. We want to interact with you guys. Talk to us. What's on your mind? Talk to us about the topic that we selected. Talk to us who you agreed with, who you disagree with. Any and every conversation that we have.
Wine.
Mary Clay, we don't know what you said at all. So say it again, but slower and into the mic.
I said, even recommend me a new flavor of wine.
Yes, to the resident alky of the show. It's not me anymore.
Wow, it is definitely you.
Nah. But on that note, this wraps up the latest episode of High Chicago. Again, hit that subscribe button if you feel inclined to. Send us a like, share, retweet. Until next time, Chicago. Peace out.